The alien princess walked through the crystal halls of the palace. Her silver hair shimmered under the soft lights. Her smile was bright and her eyes sparkled with trust. She believed in her people. She believed in her court. She believed in the peace her family had built over centuries. But she suspected nothing. Human guards had served her for years. Among them, one stood out. He was tall, with strong shoulders and a quiet presence. His eyes, sharp and dark, never missed a detail. He had seen wars, betrayals, and lies the princess could not even imagine. That day, the palace felt heavier than usual. The air was thick, like a storm waiting to break, waved to her ministers and smiled at the servants. Everyone bowed politely, but noticed a shadow that did not belong, a shadow that moved too deliberately, too carefully. He followed it quietly, keeping just out of sight. His instincts screamed at him, but he remained calm. Humans had a gift for patience, and patience was what saved lives. The shadow led to the central chamber, the room where the princess often held her most private meetings. There, he saw a figure slipping through the secret doors that even the ministers did not know about. The figure wore a mask, but knew it was someone dangerous, someone who wanted the princess harmed. His heart tightened. He could not let see this. She would not understand. To her, everyone in her court was loyal. Loyalty had a cost. Sometimes it was life itself. Stepped into the chamber, unaware of the danger. Her voice rang like a bell. "Good morning, everyone. Let today be full of joy." The masked figure froze for a second, startled by her presence. But then it moved quickly, slipping behind a wall out of sight. His heart pounded. He needed to act. But how could he protect her without revealing the fear she did not feel? He remembered the stories of his ancestors. Humans had survived because they noticed things others ignored. They saw what no one else could. Focused. He memorized every detail, the way the mask moved, the sound of quiet footsteps, the slight pause before a door clicked. Laughed lightly, touching a small crystal on her necklace. "Are you enjoying the morning patrol?" she asked. Forced a smile. "Yes, Your Highness, all is calm." Calm, the word felt bitter in his mouth. He knew it was a lie. Calm had no place here. Danger lurked behind the smiles of courtiers. Danger hid in shadows where the princess's eyes could not reach. As the morning sun rose higher, the palace felt alive. Birds chirped outside the grand windows. Courtiers chatted about events and politics, moved gracefully, unaware that a plan had been set against her life. Wanted to scream, to warn her, but he could not. She would not believe him. She could not believe the darkness hiding in her home. Instead, he followed silently, always 2 steps behind. Every gesture, every movement, he noted it all. Every smile from a courtier, every casual bow, he catalogued it in his mind. None of it was natural. Something was wrong, and he would find it. Paused by a fountain in the courtyard, the water sparkled like diamonds. She touched the surface, lost in thought. Stayed hidden in the shadow of a pillar, watching. "Princess," he said softly, stepping closer, "may I speak with you privately?" She turned, her eyes bright and trusting. "Of course, you always know what to say." He swallowed hard. He wanted to tell her everything. To reveal the shadow, the danger, the betrayal. But words could not carry the weight of the truth she was not ready to see. Not yet. So he nodded instead. "Yes, Your Highness, let's walk." And as they moved, sighs never left the hidden corners of the palace. He had seen the secret. He knew the threat. And he would protect the princess, no matter the cost, even if it meant standing alone against an enemy she could not even imagine. The storm was coming, and when it broke, only would be ready. The palace felt quiet, but knew better. Silence in a place like this was never innocent. Every corridor, every echoing footstep could hide a threat. He followed as she moved to the council chamber. Her laughter was soft, like wind through crystal leaves. Courtiers smiled at her, bending their words with politeness. Noticed every flicker of their eyes, every twitch of their hands. Something was off. The masked figure he had seen earlier had not disappeared. Felt it in the air, like a faint vibration only he could sense. He slowed his pace, keeping himself between the princess and danger, unseen, unheard. Stopped at a window. "The day is beautiful," she said, tilting her head. "Do you ever wonder what it would be like outside the palace walls?" wanted to answer truthfully. Outside, the world was dangerous. Outside, betrayal waited in every shadow, but he only smiled. "Perhaps, Your Highness, but even inside these walls, life can surprise us." Smiled back, trusting him completely. That trust was dangerous, thought, too dangerous. He remembered the warning signs he had learned long ago. When someone is about to betray, their movements are small but certain. The shadow had learned patience. It would strike at the perfect moment. The council chamber doors opened. Ministers and advisors poured in, bowing to the princess. Nodded to them, her posture perfect. But noticed one advisor lingered a second too long by the corner of the room. A hand brushed against a small device, barely visible. He stiffened, that hand, that movement, it was a signal. Someone was ready to act. Began speaking, her voice calm, steady. "We must focus on the trade agreements with the neighboring systems. Peace is our greatest strength." Eyes scanned the room. The masked figure could be anyone, a trusted advisor, a silent guard, or someone invisible behind the glittering banners. Every step she took, every gesture had to be watched. Every breath could be the last she took before the trap closed. Paused mid-sentence. "Is something wrong?" He shook his head quickly. "Nothing, Your Highness. Everything is as it should be." She smiled, unaware of the tension coiling in his chest. Felt a bitter ache. She deserved to see the world clearly. She deserved to know the truth. But the truth would destroy her trust, and that trust was her shield against fear. The meeting continued. Stayed close, eyes sharp. One wrong move, one whispered signal, and the princess could be in mortal danger. Then it happened. A faint click came from behind the throne, heard it before anyone else. His instincts screamed. Did not notice. She continued speaking, smiling at the advisors, but moved instantly. He lunged, pulling her behind the ornate pillars just as a small device ignited near the floor. Sparks flew. The room filled with a harsh, electric smell. Gasps and screams erupted. Courtiers scrambled. The masked figure had vanished, but knew it was not gone. It had only retreated, waiting for another moment. Looked at him, eyes wide. "What happened?" He pressed a finger to her lips. "Safe for now, but they are here. They mean to hurt you." Her hands trembled. Why would someone want to hurt me? His heart ached. She still did not see the world as he did. She could not yet understand betrayal. "Some secrets hide where shadows lie, Your Highness, but I have seen them, and I will not let them touch you." She nodded slowly, trusting him more than ever. Could feel the weight of that trust. It was heavier than any armor, stronger than any weapon. Outside the council chamber, shadows moved, waiting. Knew this was only the beginning. Whoever had set the trap had plans, and the princess, bright and innocent, suspected nothing. Clenched his fists. He would watch, he would wait, he would protect her, even if it cost him everything. Because in this palace of lies and whispers, the human was the only one who truly saw the secret. The palace was quiet again, but the silence felt hollow. Did not relax. The attack in the council chamber had been too precise. Someone knew exactly how to reach the princess and had almost succeeded. Walked beside him through the long halls, unaware of how close she had come to death. She chatted about flowers in the royal gardens, about stars she wanted to see up close. Her voice was soft, innocent. Sighs scanned every corner, every shadow. His instincts screamed. The enemy was still here, hiding among the trusted, and now they were more careful, more cunning. He remembered the device that had exploded near the throne. It was small, almost invisible, but deadly. Whoever planted it knew the palace well. They had patience. They had precision. Clenched his fists, deserved to walk freely. She deserved to smile without fear, but knew she could not see what he saw. To her, the palace was a sanctuary. To him, it was a battlefield. That night walked the halls alone. Candles flickered, casting long shadows. He moved silently, listening for the faintest noise. One wrong step, one miscalculation, and the princess could be lost forever. He paused near the training courtyard. There he noticed something unusual, faint footprints in the dust, too small to belong to any human guard and yet deliberate. Someone had moved here recently, hiding, waiting. Traced the footprints to a hidden passage behind the wall. He felt his heart pound. This was it, the enemy's path, Whoever had tried to harm the princess was still close. Suddenly, a whisper came from the darkness. Froze. It was low, cold, and deliberate. "You cannot protect her forever, human." He drew his sword instinctively. The whisper stopped. The shadow moved silently away, disappearing into the maze of corridors. Jaw tightened. Whoever it was, they knew him. They knew the human was the only threat. Meanwhile, slept peacefully in her quarters, unaware that death had brushed her skin that very day. Her chest rose and fell in steady rhythm. Watched over her from the doorway, his sword ready. He remembered her smile in the courtyard, the trust in her eyes. That trust was a fragile thing, more delicate than crystal. He would not let it break. The next morning, the palace felt alive again. Courtiers moved about, gossiping and laughing, pretending everything was normal. Greeted them warmly. Stayed close, a silent shadow among the humans. Then he noticed something that made his blood run cold. One of the advisors had smudges of soot on their sleeve. Small, almost invisible. A careless trace from the device that had exploded the day before. His mind raced. The enemy was bold. They had infiltrated deeper than he imagined, and bright and trusting suspected nothing. He followed the advisor discreetly. The trail led to a room no one ever entered, the forgotten archives. Dust covered the floor, and the air smelled of old paper and secrets. The advisor opened a hidden panel, revealing blueprints of the palace, sketches of the princess's daily routines, even notes about her favorite places. His heart froze. They had been planning this for months. He clenched his teeth. This was more than an attack. This was a calculated attempt to destroy everything the princess loved, and the worst part, she would never see it coming. Knew he had to act. He could not confront the enemy yet. The princess must remain unaware. Her trust could not be shattered, not now, not while the danger was still so close. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. Every step, every decision, every second mattered. He would become invisible, unnoticeable, a shadow against the shadow. Because the princess was his duty, his mission, his life. And whoever dared to harm her would have to get past him first. The palace slept under a silver moon. Outside, stars shimmered like distant promises. Inside, shadows moved with purpose, patrolled the corridors, alert to every sound, every whisper. Dreamed peacefully, unaware that danger was drawing closer. She imagined gardens and songs, laughter and light. Her trust in the world and was complete. Wished he could share the truth. He wished she could see the hidden threats. But revealing the enemy now would only make her vulnerable. She could not bear the weight of the palace's darkness. Not yet. Suddenly, a soft click echoed through the hallway. Froze. He recognized it immediately, the signature of the hidden device. Someone had come again, armed with the same deadly precision as before. He drew his sword quietly, stepping into the shadows. His heart pounded, but his mind remained sharp. Every breath counted. Every movement mattered. From the end of the hall, a figure emerged. Masked, silent, moving with practiced grace. Eyes narrowed. This was no ordinary intruder. This was a trained killer here for the princess. Stepped forward, blocking the path. "Stop," he said, voice low and steady. "Leave now or you will face me." The figure paused, tilting its head. There was no fear in their eyes, only cold calculation. Then they lunged forward, fast and lethal. Reacted instantly, parrying the strike and countering with precision honed by years of training. Steel clashed. Sparks flew in the moonlight streaming through the windows. Moved like a shadow himself, anticipating every attack, countering every blow. But the enemy was skilled, faster than anyone he had ever faced. He knew he could not hold them for long. His priority was the princess. If this battle escalated near her chambers, she would be in grave danger. Maneuvered, drawing the enemy down the hall, away from. The fight was brutal, silent except for the ringing of steel. Every strike carried a weight of life and death. Finally saw an opening. He disarmed the intruder, sending the weapon clattering across the floor. The figure froze, breathing heavily, eyes still hidden behind the mask. "You will never reach her," said, pressing his sword to their chest. "Not while I am here." The intruder hesitated, then vanished into the shadows, retreating before could react. He cursed under his breath. They were not finished. This was only the first strike. rushed back to his chambers. The princess had woken, sensing his absence. She ran to him, eyes wide with concern. "What happened?" she asked. He knelt before her, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. "You are safe, Your Highness, but someone is trying to harm you. They will not stop, not unless I stop them first." Her eyes filled with worry. I don't understand. Why would anyone want to hurt me?" Sighed softly. He could not explain yet. She needed her faith, her hope, her innocence. "Some secrets are hidden in shadows," he said carefully. "But I have seen them, and I will protect you no matter what." Nodded, still unaware of how close death had come. She trusted him completely, more than anyone else in the palace, and that trust gave strength. As he watched over her through the night, knew the intruder would strike again. And next time the danger would be closer, sharper, more deadly. But was ready. He had seen the secret. He had recognized the threat, and he would face it, alone if necessary, to keep the princess safe. Because in a world filled with shadows, one human was the only shield she could truly rely on. The first strike had failed, but the war for the princess had only begun. Morning light filtered through the palace windows, painting the halls in gold. Moved gracefully, unaware that danger had stalked her just hours before. She hummed a soft tune, her silver hair glinting in the sunlight. Followed closely, every step measured, eyes scanning. The palace seemed calm, too calm. Danger had a way of hiding in silence, and he could feel it lingering in the air. He had studied the intruder's movements. Every strike, every retreat, every pattern led him to one inescapable truth. This was not random. Someone within the palace wanted her gone. Someone who knew the secret passages, the hidden doors, the routines of her life. The realization hit him like a blade. The enemy could strike any time, anywhere, and the next attack might not give him a chance to intervene. Reached the princess in the central courtyard. She smiled at him, holding a delicate flower in her hand. "Look at this. It's beautiful, isn't it?" He nodded, forcing a smile. "Yes, Your Highness, it is." Leaned closer, her voice soft. "You always seem so serious. Do you ever rest?" His chest tightened. He wished he could tell her the truth. He wished he could let her see the danger for what it was. But telling her now would only make her a target, unprepared for the darkness surrounding her. He had to make a choice. Protect her quietly, keeping the shadows at bay, or confront the enemy directly and risk drawing them closer to the princess. Either way, danger was inevitable. His decision was made in an instant. He would face the enemy. Alone, he would become the shield that no one else could be. That night moved through the hidden passages of the palace. Every shadow felt alive. Every whisper of air carried a threat. He followed the trail left by the masked intruder, tracing footsteps, sounds, and faint markings only a human could detect. Finally, he found them in the lower chambers, a room filled with faintly glowing devices, all aimed toward the princess's quarters. The enemy had been preparing, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. His heart pounded. One misstep, one hesitation, and the princess could be lost. The masked figure turned, surprised to see him. "You should not have followed," the voice hissed. "I protect her," said firmly, stepping forward. "No one will harm her, not tonight, not ever." The intruder lunged, a swirl of speed and steel. Countered, the sound of clashing metal echoing through the chamber. He moved like a shadow, every strike calculated, every breath precise. But the enemy was relentless. They had trained for months and had only hours to prepare. He realized he could not defeat them by strength alone. He needed strategy. He needed cunning. He feigned a stumble, baiting the intruder forward. At the right moment, he trapped them against a wall, pressing his sword to their chest. "Stop now," demanded. "Leave the princess in peace or face the consequences." For a heartbeat, the intruder hesitated. Then, as silently as they had come, they disappeared into the shadows, retreating once more. Exhaled, relief and frustration mixing in his chest. He knew this was not over. They would strike again, and soon. Returning to his quarters, found her asleep, still unaware of how close death had come once more. He knelt beside her, brushing a lock of hair from her face. "I have seen the secret," he whispered. "I know the danger, and I will protect you no matter what it takes." murmured in her sleep her trust in him absolute. His heart ached. That trust was fragile, delicate, and worth more than life itself. Tonight he had chosen to fight, to face the darkness alone. But the battle was far from over, and the next choice he would have to make could change everything. Because in a palace filled with secrets, one human was the only force strong enough to stand between innocence and death. And was ready. The palace was restless that night. Wind whispered through the high towers, and the shadows seemed deeper than ever. Felt it, a pull of danger, stronger, closer, more deliberate. Slept unaware, her breathing calm, her face serene. She had no idea the enemy was planning something far bolder this time, something that would leave no margin for error. Had tracked the intruder's movements all evening. Every hidden passage, every secret panel, every corridor had been mapped in his mind. The enemy was patient, but so was he. He knew their plan was not just an attack. It was an attempt to corner her, to force a choice that would shatter the palace. He stationed himself in the hallway outside her chambers, sword drawn, senses alert. Every creak, every faint rustle of silk, every shadow that moved against the moonlight caught his attention. And then it happened. The enemy struck. The chamber door swung open silently, and a figure slipped in, faster than the eye could follow. Lunged, colliding with them in a clash of steel and strength. But this time it was different. The intruder was not alone. Another figure emerged from the shadows, a second attacker, moving with equal skill and precision. His chest tightened, two enemies, one princess. He had to think faster than he had ever thought before. He one strike, dodged another, and realized the intruder's strategy, divide and confuse him. They wanted him to make a mistake. They wanted the princess exposed. His voice rang out, startled from her sleep. The intruders froze for a heartbeat, but it was enough. Spun, shielding her with his body. "Stay down, Your Highness, don't move." The princess ducked instinctively behind him, eyes wide with fear. She had never imagined the palace held such darkness. The fight continued, relentless and brutal. His muscles burned, his mind raced, and yet he never faltered. Every attack he blocked, every counter he struck was fueled by the determination to keep her alive. Finally saw an opening. With precise, controlled movements, he disarmed one attacker and knocked the other back. Both fell to the ground with a grunt, stunned but not defeated. He did not hesitate, pressed his sword firmly against the nearest attacker's throat. "If you so much as touch her again, you will regret it," he said, voice steady, unwavering. The intruders exchanged a glance, then vanished into the shadows, retreating like ghosts. Exhaled sharply, relief and exhaustion mixing in his chest. Turning to the princess, he saw tears in her eyes. She reached for him, trembling. I didn't know." He knelt, holding her hands gently. "It's all right, you're safe. I have seen the secret, I know the danger, and I will protect you always." Clung to him, her trust absolute, her fear fatting in his presence. His heart ached with both pride and sorrow. Pride for being able to protect her, sorrow for the innocence that had been threatened. But knew this battle was not over. The intruders had shown their strength, their planning, and their cunning. They would strike again, and next time they might not retreat. He looked at the princess, sleeping again, fragile and unaware. His resolve hardened. No matter the cost, no matter the enemy, he would stand between her and death. Because in a world filled with shadows, only a human could hold the line. And would never let it fall. The palace was silent, but the air felt electric. Stood in the grand hall, every sense alert. The enemy had returned. He could feel it in the shifting shadows, in the faint rustle of robes, in the cold breath of danger that brushed the walls. Was nearby, her silver hair catching the light, her eyes bright with curiosity and trust. She still suspected nothing. She smiled unaware that this night could decide everything. "You look tense," she said softly. "Is something wrong?" He shook his head, forcing a calm expression. "Nothing, Your Highness, just keeping watch." But this time there would be no hiding the truth. The enemy had come to end their patience. They had infiltrated the palace completely and knew the attack would be swift and ruthless. Suddenly, shadows moved along the balcony above, multiple figures, silent, coordinated. The intruders had the advantage of numbers and planning. but did not flinch. He stepped in front of sword drawn, every muscle coiled for the fight. "You will not harm her," he said, voice steady and fierce. "Not while I breathe." The first attacker lunged, met the strike head-on, deflecting it with precision. Another followed, and another. Sparks flew as steel met steel. The hall echoed with the clash, a symphony of danger. Gasped, taking a step back. He turned briefly, just enough to assure her safety before returning to the fight. His mind was sharp, his instincts faster than thought. Every every attack he countered was fueled by one thing, the princess's life. The intruders pressed harder, moving with calculated aggression. Realized the only way to save her was to lead them away. He grabbed gently, shielding her with his body, and ran through secret corridors known only to him. The chase was relentless. The enemies followed, their footsteps echoing behind them. His heart pounded, but he did not falter. He knew the palace like the back of his hand. They did not. Finally, he reached the central courtyard. Moonlight bathed the space in silver, faced the intruders standing between them and the princess. His sword gleamed in his hand, his stance unwavering. "This ends now," he said, voice carrying over the courtyard. "You will not harm her." The attackers hesitated, recognizing the human who had thwarted every plan, every strike, every shadow. Moved like a force of nature, swift, precise, unyielding. In a series of perfect strikes and maneuvers, he disarmed them all, forcing them to retreat into the darkness from which they had come. Breathing heavily, turned to. She ran to him, her hands clutching his arms. Tears glistened in her eyes. You saved me," she whispered, voice trembling. He smiled softly, brushing a lock of hair from her face. "I will always protect you, Your Highness. No one can hurt you, not while I am here, not ever." His eyes shone with trust, admiration, and something deeper she could not yet name. She had suspected nothing all along, but now she saw the truth in his unwavering gaze. The palace was safe once more, the shadows defeated for now, but knew they could return, and he would be ready. He looked at, standing there, luminous and unaware of the darkness she had escaped. His heart swelled with both relief and devotion. For in a universe filled with uncertainty, betrayal, and danger, one human had made the impossible promise. To see the secret, to understand the danger, and to protect the innocent, no matter the cost. And kept that promise always. Leaned close, resting her head on his shoulder. His arm went around her gently. The night was quiet, the palace bathed in silver light, and for the first time she felt truly safe, not because of walls, not because of guards, but because of the human who had chosen to stand between her and every shadow in the galaxy. And in that moment, knew one truth above all. Loyalty, courage, and love could transcend species, fear, and the darkness that hid in the most trusted places. The princess suspected nothing, but saw everything. And he would never let the secret die.